Welcome back to the Aftermatch. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Beeve, I tell you what, I keep seeing your mug everywhere at the moment, and it's not on social media clips from the Aftermatch. Maybe our social team needs to do a better job, but no, actually, he does a fantastic job. Take that out. I keep seeing, honestly, every week, they dine out on your 2011 Rugby World Cup winning moment and the story about it. You need royalties. You need to be like a musician, and you need to get royalties every time that is played.
Yeah, well, some would say I don't need any more royalties because I've been dining out on it ever since.
Well, you have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would I be sitting here as an
I
Aftermatch
think
co-host?
you would.
But no, yes, I do see it keeps popping up.
Does keep popping up every single week, and I just love it coming to the fore. This All Blacks performance against Scotland, look, it was a little bit shaky, and there's quite a bit of negativity around this team and the way that they just keep sneaking by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
What did you think of the performance and the result? Great to get the result, first and foremost.
Yeah, wonderful result. Like, I don't think, respectfully, I don't think there should be a day where we're too worried about that result. I mean, you know, Scotland's only got two teams to pick from, essentially. So I think we're always going to have the talent to beat them. However, at half-time, you know, as I was clearing the sleep out of my eyes at 5 o'clock in the morning, I've honestly thought that was the best half of rugby of the year. And I know there's probably been different moments and maybe higher quality opposition, but for me, the All Blacks played with some endeavour and some speed to their game. I thought it got back to what you imagine the All Blacks to play like when they go and play against a team like Scotland. The forwards, the interchanging and the handling of the forwards work was brilliant. That was laid on, I thought, by the fact that the backs, I don't know if they were allowed to go from deeper or they were presented more options from deeper, but things like Quinn Tupai going down a midfield scrum short side, throwing a cutout pass, and we're way down the flanks, and then we don't quite score, but we go 60 metres. And that's just from having a little bit of bravery with their shot calling and going from deep. And I thought it was a wonderful first half. Josh Lord got things started. Like Josh Lord and Fabian Holland. Josh Lord had the highlight reel of that big line break and the composure. So it ended up being a 2-on-2. Once he made the line break, it ended up being a 2-on-2. Well, there'd be many a back who would have stuffed up that situation. But the way, yes, it helps when you're 6'8" and you can just go like that over the top of people. But the way he was able to free up Cam Roygaard in open space, running fast, that's not something to be underestimated. And then Fabian Holland, he was belting people. Like I thought, from a defensive point of view, he looked like our biggest hitman there at times.
Well, he is, though. Remember when we saw him in Dunedin and he was just behind us? And he is a big, burly man.
Look,
he's like a South African in stature.
Well, it's the Dutch gene.
It's the Dutch gene.
Yes, and we know South Africans are full of Dutch genes.
He's like RG. He's a big man.
But he was thumping people, which, you know, added so much too. So, no, the first half for me, Kirst, was brilliant. And the other thing, the All Blacks, you know, over 100 years of our history, I think have probably had the ability to put the dagger in. And just before half-time, when Scotland was probably thinking, go to the sheds at 10-0, we can live with this, the All Blacks go and score. And then you're sitting back at half-time thinking, Jesus, a lot of good things happening here today. Best first half, scoring right on half-time. And then obviously the second half.
Before we get into the second half, who would have predicted that they actually call him Fabian? I don't know if you realise that. Fabian Holland. I don't know if that's the Dutch thing or not, but Fabian, whatever you want to call him, and Josh Lord would be our starting locks on the end of your tour. Who would have predicted that at the start of the season?
No, you'd have got some pretty good odds because, let's be honest, maybe...
You've got 3 locks out.
3 locks.
Ahead of those.
Ahead of them.
Yeah.
Maybe Fabian has snuck up. Yeah, is that off Zoolander, isn't it? Maybe he's just trying to sex his name up a bit. He's sick of being called the bland New Zealand Fabian. I like it. Well done, Fabian. Fabian, sorry. But no, when you think about it, obviously Scott Barrett, All Black captain, Tupou Vai, probably our best rugby player this year in Super Rugby and through the All Black season. And then Paddy, who I thought's had a wonderful season too. So, yeah, it's conceivable that these were 4 and 5, and yet they've gone out there and against Ireland for a big passage of play, they disrupted Ireland's line out, which was crucial for the All Blacks victory. And then they went out and really imposed themselves this weekend.
Talking about sexy, talk to me about William Wallace, Braveheart, Wallace Atiti, who returns to the country that he was named after since his father played club through Scotland.
Down at Borders, I think he was.
And he's starting, he's stolen the jersey from his Chiefs teammate, Simon Parker. It was written in the stars for the guy to suddenly reach those heights that he saw last season before the injury.
Great. I didn't realise the connection between Wallace and the name.
Have you seen Braveheart?
Have I seen Braveheart? Of course I've seen
Braveheart. You are
a
movie buff.
Yes.
And you spent a few years in Japan.
Yes.
Movie land.
Absolutely. And we
lot of free time.
We actually went on a schools tour through the UK many moons ago, and the Borders is a real stronghold from rugby, and that's where he said that his dad went down and played down in the Melrose of the Worlds, and
they'll love this shout out.
I think we got billeted down there, so shout out to my billets. We had a wonderful time there.
Who billeted beef? God, what did you offer to the household?
I tell you what, for a New Zealand schools trip, it felt a lot more like a Kentucky. Myself,
this is schools. You were still at school, or just after?
It was our last year. So, we'd just finished school, and then we went on tour. I went on this
tour. On your Kentucky.
Yeah, so me and Afoa and the likes had a wonderful little Kentucky. I was very much, even back then, Kirst, I won't surprise you, I was a bag holder. I know, about 3 on the pecking list. So
who was ahead of you? The schools.
Who was schools? Lukey was on the trip. Jimmy Gopworth was on the trip.
Coaches never saw your full potential, didn't they? No, not until 2011.
Do you know who one of the coaches was?
Tell me.
Joe Schmidt.
Of course.
He was only the assistant though. The other fellow made all the decisions, and it ended up being a Kentucky trip. But the Borders area I know well.
Nice.
And really enjoyed my time down there.
Okay, talk to us about the second half then. Because what happened? When you're 17-0 up at halftime, they've just put the dagger in, and you're thinking, wowee, this is impressive. We're now starting to see that All Blacks performance all come together.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I went into that second half thinking this is going to be the game that we talk about as the marker, and then we progress from there. But, lots been made about the discipline. And was it the yellow cards that caused Scotland to come back to 17-all? You could say yes. But it's more, what do the yellow cards do for the game? It literally gave Scotland entries into our 22, and we were very good defensively, but after a while in that second half, once you get a little bit of front foot ball inside the 22, it is very hard to repel these teams. We saw Ireland do it early doors. They scored that try, and then we saw Scotland, and it was just literally a case of getting a set piece inside the All Blacks 22, getting some front foot ball, and then just being able to bash through, and numbers being an issue. Because when your numbers down, theoretically you shouldn't go as hard at rucks, Kirst, because you've got to have more men on your feet. So you can't go as hard. I will say I think Scotland still, I think they left some chances out there. There's some obvious ones with the knock-ons over the lines and things like that. But I reckon Finn Russell was brilliant, and geez, it was good to watch him.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we don't get to see more of him. Obviously, he's playing in the UK, and a bit of out of sight, out of mind. It would be great if one of his teams bought him for Super Rugby for a year.
What club would you put him into? Where would he suit if you think about the cultures, and if he was to go on a little Kentucky himself?
The Landers. I think he'd go right into Dunedin.
Yeah,
straight Dunedin of the South, but also... No, it's not like the Scottish of the South, sorry. But no, I think you'd go well in Dunedin. But just the freedom that he plays with. But where I thought he was getting a little bit, I think he got let down by his teammates, is there was opportunities to capitalise on big overlaps, 5-on-2s, 6-on-2s, and he was still going cross kick, and he was still having to throw the big skip ball just to get straight to his winger. Where I think if he had midfielders and the fullbacks outside him demanding the ball, they would have just gone through the hands and picked us off. But they missed those. I reckon there's, and look, I'm only watching it live on TV. I don't have all the angles, but I reckon there's 3 probably clear cuts when he went cross kick or big loopy pass instead of going through the hands, which I think saved the defence in the end. I thought Leicester and Quinn really combined well defensively. They allowed themselves to be able to break off, and by that means, Kirst, they knew they were man down with Leroy being sin bin at one point, and then obviously Wallace was sin-binned as well. And they had the ability to break off and still keep alive and cover those outside channels when we did look vulnerable. So I thought they did very well there. But I guess as far as that second half goes, we can't go past the impact of the bench. And again, a guy that saved us in the end. And when you look at the bench impact, there was one guy that really had 3 monster moments.
Damien
McKenzie's 3 moments. The kick to get the 50-22 led to his next moment, because at that point we were having a bit of a muddling little time around halfway. We were going nowhere. We'd had about 7 or 8 phases, and then he just smacks one and gets the roll of the century.
But everyone's like pumping him up, and for good reason. He obviously had those 3 moments that you're talking about and won the test for the All Blacks in the end. But he's been doing this for how long, Beef?
Yeah,
these are the moments that he wins constantly.
Well, the funny thing for me is he's often criticised about his decision making.
Yeah,
the choice to put that kick in was his.
Yeah,
and we'd been going nowhere, and he obviously went off his own bat. Right, I'm kicking. And he got us down there. The other thing that I don't think people appreciate enough is with his game, he goes after moments. Like, even at that top level, there are times where people will look to someone else to go, can you win us?
To be brave.
They don't verbally say it.
Yeah.
But, they talk about going towards the challenge, And, when you're in a 15-man side, does everyone do it? I don't know. I've certainly been in teams where it hasn't been everyone. You've looked for the certain people who will do it.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the try, obviously, and that was just pure will and want to get there and do whatever you want with your body. But then the goal kick, like you've got to walk towards that, and he's done it. He's done it time again.
Yeah.
He does it for the Chiefs. We had highlights during the week of the last time they were at Twickenham.
Yeah.
Walked towards it, chucked it over, win the game. Yeah. So, no, wonderful cameo from there. Really like where the bench is getting to.
So you see Damien now as still an impact off the bench?
Well, it's like, could he start 100%?
Yeah.
Could he start this week at fullback because of the injury to Caleb Clark? Of course he could. However, when we've watched what's happened in rugby in the last couple of years, when we've seen the All Blacks be in all these games and the ones that they've lost has been in the last 20, and so much been made of it, well, all of a sudden you've got a guy that, and it can come on and bank impact, and then you've got Tamaiti, who's probably very similar to Damien as far as could he start? Of course he could.
Yeah.
But what he brings on, Tossi is the same, be it Takiaho or Amur when he's fit and available. You see, you're starting to mould together. Like, yep, it's not a bomb squad, but it's a different version. Like, it's high energy, it's high impact.
Yeah.
So it's what we would expect the New Zealand impact to be. So I don't know, I'm a bit on the fence about whether just leave him as is.
So who comes on to replace Caleb then?
Yeah, well,
Rico?
I think it's probably Rico.
Yeah.
I mean, Sevu looked very good when he went and played on my old pitch, the Rec.
For the Barbars.
For
the All Blacks 15.
I tell you what, Bath have spent some money since I've left, mainly on players. But, they've put some money into that field because that used to be an absolute dung heap. And
so
now
it drains now, does it?
It drains because it used to drain from the way up because it used to come from the River Avon right next to the Rec, and it used to come when that was wet. It used to come up through the ground. So. Fantastic work from the groundsman there at the Rec.
You're basically playing on the river.
Yeah, so in the swamp. Yeah.
Okay, let's do our Black Magic, our wonderful Black Magic All Black of the weekend then, babe. And look, I do have to say thank you. I've been giving him stick every single week that we've done this for not delivering. Today, he did. Hook, line and sinker. So thank you very much.
Yeah, a bit of fresh snapper there for my co-host.
Snapper snacks worked.
Snapper Snacks worked. The Sanukas worked too. A little lure that they inspired from the Japanese technology.
Well, you've lured me in, B, with that snapper.
Oh, well, it was a great day out using my Black Magic tackle out there on Saturday. But our Black Magic player of the game, of course, Damien McKenzie got the little green medal there.
But who gets
Edinburgh.
yours?
He doesn't get mine.
But he's had yours all year, Beef.
Yes.
This has been controversial because every single week in Super Rugby, he's got you 3 points.
He has. And to be fair...
He was top of the Richie Mo medal until the final.
Also, giving him a Black Magic prize pack like we gave Leroy Carter there a few weeks ago would be a waste because
Christmas present, you're saying?
No,
Or someone else?
Yeah, well, he gets sick in the bath. Like his seasickness is quite incredible. I've taken him out on the flattest of flat days, and he goes, "Can we just stop here?"
He's a land mammal.
He is very much land based. So my Black Magic All Black of the weekend for his performance in Edinburgh, Peter Lakai.
What did Peter Lakai do? Look, you've been talking about this guy for, I reckon, 2 years, saying, just watch Peter Lakai. You've been hot on him.
Yep.
He's obviously had time in the game and then time away from the game with injuries, but he's finally getting a good run, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is. Like he's doing everything you'd expect of him. But when I
also number 8, we didn't really know where he was going to fit in, did we? You just thought he'll be there.
I know I've used this comparison so often.
Yeah, Artie.
But he's got this Artie thing.
Every week, Beeve, you talk about it.
But I want to zero in on what it is that I think Artie every time.
Okay.
Artie never looks like he's finished in a contest.
Yes.
Be it a tackle or a carry. You see him continuing to fight well and truly until he's into the next tackle on the previous tackle. And then when he's carrying, he's never actually tackled until he's physically, his entire body's on the ground. And if you watch Peter Lakai, that's why I keep triggering the Artie comparison, because he fights in every single contact, in every single moment. And the big thing I thought that he probably went a little bit unnoticed for, which I thought was huge, considering how Scotland were playing, what they rely on to get Finn Russell in the game is speed of ball. And his work at the breakdown, yep, he got a few penalties, which, you know, we all saw on TV and we yahooed. But it was the ones that he didn't get the penalties for, but he was in the fight and he slowed it down. And he wasn't alone on that. A lot of the All Blacks did great work at the breakdown, I thought. But that's, for me, over the entire game, Peter Lakai is our Black Magic All Black of the week. And Peter will, I don't know if you're a fisherman down there in Wellington Harbour.
He doesn't strike me as someone who gets seasick, Beef.
No, I'd say he goes out with maybe the great Piri Weepu takes him out every now and again.
For a dive?
Yeah, for a dive and a fish. So we'll get the Black Magic packed here.
And don't forget to cast your vote. Who was your All Blacks player of the weekend? You can disagree with Beef. Doesn't have to be Peter Lakai. It could be Damien McKenzie. It could be somebody else. So let us know in the comments who was your Black Magic All Black of the weekend. We look ahead to Twickenham, Beef.
Yes.
Your week's in London. Maybe
as a player or just in general?
You were on Contiki once again when you went to London.
Not with the All Blacks. No. Ted would not allow a Contiki tour. But no, it is special. London's such a big beast, of a city. So,
do you love London?
I learnt to love London when I was there with the All Blacks. I didn't think much of it because,
you were locked up, weren't you?
Well, you're locked up, but also it's so intimidating. And we were traveling the world, but we were still, country boys from New Zealand, and you're like, this tube, you always have a tube station everywhere, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to risk that.
You don't know where you'll end up.
Yeah, what are you going to do on your day off? I'm going to walk about 50 metres down the road. I'm going to have lunch there, and then I'll go back to the hotel.
So adventurous of you.
Yeah, I really was. But London's a wonderful city, and it's too big to know that there's a big game on.
Yeah.
I'm in as a tour group for a leader for the 15 World Cup. You wouldn't have known there's a World Cup there because it's such a big beast. So it is, but it is an exciting week because you know what it leading into. It's leading into the Twickenham appearances for the boys, and that's special. It is funny during the week because obviously soccer dominates the press.
Yeah.
But when the All Blacks are in town, they start to nudge. They start to get in the papers.
Oh, the back page, do they?
I'll guarantee you, there'll be a story about the haka. There's always a haka story in an England week for whatever reason. They question whether we should be allowed to do it. They question what's England going to do to it. Are they going to sing Sweet Low during it? All that sort of stuff comes up. Then there'll be, maybe they'll rehash Brodie Retallick not knowing who some of the English players were. There'll all be this stuff that'll get fired at them this week. But it's a special week. Twickenham's, one of the absolute meccas of the world.
Are there secrets about Twickenham that, we as members of the public wouldn't know about? What's it actually like there? Are there baths down in Twickenham?
Yeah, there's baths.
Yeah, what are the baths?
Yeah, there's baths there.
Can you just explain that for people that are going, baths? What baths?
I know they're a thing of yesteryear, but, what you bath your child in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a proper bath.
But are they just all in a row for the players to use?
I think they're in I'd say it's probably 6 or so in the change room.
Take us in.
But you still have a shower. There's still a shower option.
Yeah.
Yeah, because quite grimy after a
The
game.
bath.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's a nice photo option. But like, if you want to just move on, just go get a shower and like it's Twickenham. You know, it's very nice down there with the red carpet in the tunnel and all the rest of it. But it's the whole day, and like you get dropped off a little bit South Africa like you get dropped off just outside the ground. You walk through, and the gold lines are there, the pillars, and you walk through that, and the crowd's sort of held back by security, but they're all there. And I reckon it's the time where you feel when you go in, and not just Twickenham, but on these tours overseas, certainly in the UK, because there's so many Kiwis on their OEs. I reckon it's the most time that strikes you how patriotic you are, because you see Kiwis waving at the buses, because there'll be one black jersey in amongst 20 white ones or blue ones like last week, and I think it makes you really appreciate being a Kiwi, because you see all these Kiwis on their OEs absolutely loving life, best way to describe it, and yeah, it's a special time.
Did you meet the Queen?
Look, do I regret this? I probably do regret it. So we used to get the option, not every tour up there,
Of meeting the Queen.
Meeting the Queen.
Going to Buckingham or?
Going to Buckingham. And I was...
You chose not to go and meet Her Majesty.
It's going to surprise you, because after a lot of the rubbish we've talked here about touring life, but I was actually quite professional. And on Wednesday, I always had an hour kicking session or so, where I'd tick off everything that I wanted to tick off. And with the All Blacks, I'd often go and do it with Mick Byrne if he was around, or the kicking coach, or Smithy or someone like that. And I just had my booking. I had my booking for the kicking session.
Tea with the Queen or kicking session with Mickey Byrne?
Yeah, just clashed. And so
you just didn't have space in the diary for
her. Yeah. And look, when I look back now as a mature me, someone step back, I probably wish I actually had gone and met the Queen in her house.
Yeah.
But look, I went and did grubbers, cross kicks, chip kicks, and a goal kicking session. So, and probably played 2 minutes that weekend. So it was all worth it.
Yeah, it would have been worth it, because if you hadn't have done that session, you may not have slotted the winning kick over in 2011. So,
you think it's just repetition.
You needed to keep repeating it.
So
practice makes perfect.
One regret.
Meeting Queen Elizabeth, Lizzie.
Yeah, it would have been nice. But as I said, got those grubbers in.
Talk to us about England though, because I know pre-tour you always thought Scotland was probably going to be one of the hardest tests on tour, but England, this has got to be the one.
This was always the one.
Yeah. Considering how close we've been in the last 3 tests.
Yep. And considering for me, I think some of the most impressive guys on that Lions tour
were the Englishmen.
Were the English ones.
Who?
Well, I mean, captain.
Yes.
Maro. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, he was phenomenal. If he's not on that Lions tour, do they win? I mean, you can say the same about Finn Russell.
Yeah.
But those two for me, you talk about the irreplaceables, those were the two for me on that tour. So Itoje obviously jumps out at you. And then you've got, I guess, the loose forwards. And again, because it was such a mix of Irish and English loose forwards on that tour, you didn't quite get an appreciation. But when you start thinking about the likes of Earl, Curry, Underhill, the Kiwi boy, Cunning himself, that's quality. And the thing about why I think it's so important to highlight the loose forwards is I think there'll be a lot of areas that get cancelled out. The set pieces, both will have their moments. But the loose forwards, the breakdown, and how the game unfolds will be dictated by the breakdown. And if we can't do a job on their loose forwards, then they're going to be able to slow our ball down, which will, one, frustrate our attack, but then also bring their line speed and their defence into play. And conversely, if we can win it, then we can get rocking and rolling, we can get front football, we can play at speed, play at tempo, and that's where I think we're going to have an advantage. But there are different beasts. The Northern Hemisphere loose forward, but particularly these English guys, they're probably shorter in stature, but they are bulky, and they're going to take a lot to move from breakdowns and when they get on the ball. What
about their POM squad? That's like the South African bomb squad that they're calling it, where 5 substitutes, 5 forwards anyway, come on just after half time.
Yeah, and I think that might be a recognition of potentially the speed of game and where they might be lacking. And so what do? You just replace it. And like, I mean, one of those guys, I presume in the weekend will be Henry Pollock.
Yeah.
And considering what the 12
energy
months,
bunny.
the energy bunny, considering the 12 months he's had, and you think about, we're talking about playing at pace in a game of tempo. If it breaks up, like how damaging he can be. We saw how good he is on that Australian tour. The other big thing for me, Kirst, around this English team is the 10 situation.
Ford or either of the Smiths?
Yeah, well, I mean, I really like Marcus. Been doing some research again. Been talking to a few of my correspondents, I'll call them, the Aftermatch correspondents in the UK who are certainly in and around rugby. Finn Smith's been killing it for Northampton, and they were genuinely surprised that he didn't get first crack at it. Then
Against Australia.
Australia. And then when you consider what's happened, where they were good against Fiji, but they had to overcome some issues, I think it'll be back to George Ford. Borthwick, when the pump goes on,
conservative,
is always gone. You think about World Cups, what's he done selection-wise? He's always gone probably the conservative route, and I think they'll go forward.
Does that win them the match?
If they get everything else going for them. I think if it turned into a game of rugby where, you're going to have your time, we're going to have our time, I think a Finn Smith or a Marcus Smith would probably have been a better option. I haven't seen enough of Finn Smith. I watched enough Premiership this year, but certainly I've seen enough of Marcus Smith to know that he's quality and he's as good as anyone in the world. Like, he really is. And I'm surprised that he hasn't probably been getting more time. And it may not even be at 15 starting, because obviously they've got British Lion back there too, haven't they?
Yeah.
And Stewart.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be fascinating, but I will fully anticipate, if you're doing your preparation, I'd say Ford will be at 10.
You're going back to traditional English rugby.
Yep.
Boring.
Your words, not mine. I love that stuff. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are the correspondents?
What's that?
Who are the correspondents?
One of my former teammates in Bath.
Okay.
Yeah. Former English international. Oversized. Big Matt Banahan. I got some oil off.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Good research.
Yeah.
Have you done any research on South Africa and France?
Yeah, well, these did.
Good, your eyes did. Well,
my eyes did.
They passed the eye test, South Africa, didn't they just? We're going to talk about that in part 2 of the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beebe. So stay with us for the second drop.